Let's just put that there.
Okay.
We'll record on that. I did record on that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to kill you.
The red light is blinking. You can see that.
I can see the blinking red light.
Are you good to go?
I am good to go. Are you good to go? Is he
Sure.
good to go?
Uh,
A little terrifying there. All right, we're good. All right, we are now good.
oh, full on computer today.
Yeah, having some trouble with my iPad, but
Okay, fair.
it's fine.
Hello everyone. Welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
Laura, what's the year and what are the movies we're here to talk about today?
This is the 2003 Best Picture nominees for movies that were released in 2002, which include Chicago, The Gangs of New York, The Hours, I lost it, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and The Pianist.
Got it. Alright, so I'm going to read off the other notables that year. We'll see if
Okay.
you can guess. You've been doing pretty good so far.
Doing all right.
Other
I can
notables.
remember them.
28 Days Later, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Road to Perdition, Chamber of Secrets, The Harry Potter, Spider-Man, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, About Schmidt, probably his best role ever.
Mhm.
I love that, him in that.
Nicholson being him.
Yes, sorry. Murder by Numbers, About a Boy, The Bourne Identity, Moonlight Mile, 25th Hour, Red Dragon, sequel to Hannibal, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, George Clooney's directorial debut,
Oh, was that his debut? Okay.
Panic Room, Antoine Fisher, which I think was Denzel's directorial debut, Signs, and Punch Drunk Love. So out of those, and including obviously the list that we have, what do you think was in the top 5?
So I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers,
That was number 3.
Chamber of Secrets,
Number 4.
Spider-Man,
Number 1.
Bourne Identity.
No.
Oh! Okay, how about Star Wars?
Yeah, it was number 2.
All right, so I'm missing one. Signs?
Nope. I'm going to give you a
Oh,
pretty
okay.
big hint.
I'll take it.
This one took everybody by complete surprise. This is the indie model.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
I didn't realize it cracked the top 5. I know it was the biggest indie film, but I didn't
Of like
know.
all
Yeah,
time.
but I didn't know that it cracked the top 5. Nice.
It did.
Good for
And I
you.
actually enjoyed it. I watched it and I enjoyed it. There's nothing like
It's so
super
much fun.
spectacular. It's just a lot of fun.
It's just a lot of fun, and every character is perfect, and everybody can relate to it.
Alright, I go obviously alphabetical, so Chicago is what I have first.
Let's go with Chicago.
Chicago. Alright, Chicago is based on the 1975 stage musical, which is in turn based on a play from 1926. Stars Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Richard Gere, Queen Latifah, John C. Reilly, Lucy Liu, and Colin Fiore. It's the directorial debut of Rob Marshall, who also choreographed the film. Was adapted by screenwriter Bill Condon with music by John Kander and lyrics by Fred Webb. It was nominated for everything. Picture, director, actress, supporting actor, supporting actress for both Queen Latifah and Catherine. Supporting for John C. Reilly. Adapted screenplay, art direction, cinematography, costume design, film editing, original songs, sound. Won a ton as well. For sound, film editing, costume design, art direction, supporting actress for Catherine. And it did win that year for Best Picture. Go with synopsis and facts.
All right, so the synopsis is, 2 death row murderesses develop a fierce rivalry while competing for publicity, celebrity, and a sleazy lawyer's attention.
It fits.
I think you should say a musical.
Yes.
It's because I think that's a pretty important piece.
That's the second time they haven't mentioned that it's a musical.
In the log line,
Yeah.
exactly. So a couple of fun facts. So the 1975 version that was choreographed by Fosse is kind of what got this the most publicity, as you know. And the 2 stars were Gwen Verdon played Roxy and Cheetah Rivera played Velma.
I don't know the former. I know Cheater, but I don't.
Oh, okay. Gwen Verdon was married to Bob Fosse, and she's the
Oh.
one that
Oh,
played
yeah,
that Michelle
yeah,
Williams
yeah,
played in
yeah.
the part. She got Tonys for everything. She was in Damn Yankees, so you would know her if you saw her.
Yeah.
But she passed away, I think, the year before this movie was filmed, and Cheetah Rivera is in this movie in a very minor cameo role as one of the older prisoners in Murderer's Row.
Oh, okay.
So like she has just a really quick line, but I love that they paid some tribute to her, which was fantastic. And also, this is at the time, it is the highest grossing film to never hit #1 or #2. So it never got higher than number 3 at the box office.
Yep.
But it made the most money of any film that never got up higher than that.
Huh.
Ever. And I
Interesting.
think it was beat out later in life by Mamma Mia.
Okay, that would make sense too, because Mamma Mia was
Just had the longevity.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We know by now, if you watch this and listen at all, I have issues with musicals.
I do know this.
There are a couple that I absolutely adore. This is one of them.
Really? Okay,
I
I was
love
wondering
this.
how you would take this.
For me, musicals, there's a couple different ways they can go. And we've seen this with Fosse adaptations before, where Fosse himself adapted and like added things in and changed the storyline, so it got bogged down. But the most important thing for me is the music, the songs. And this one has some bangers.
Yes.
And they help move things along. So yes, I absolutely love this. I saw it for the first time with my mom, and I look forward to any time that it's on again. There are certain musical numbers that I think are just amazing. And I hope that there's a little bit, it seems like it, that there's a lot of Fosse in, even though
Yes.
he didn't do the director did the choreography of it. It just drips with Fosse.
Well, and that's what I was going to touch on, is I also love this movie, and the two main reasons. The first reason is this is a film, even though it's a musical,
Yes.
even though it was a play.
Yeah, it's
You
not
can
an
tell the
adaptation.
difference. Well, it's not an adaptation, and you can tell that this is not it's not a staged play that was just filmed.
Right.
This was a movie they made, but they took so many pieces of the staged musical. And then the second piece was, I love how much of Fosse they kept, just from the like very meticulous hand motions, and just you saw what a perfectionist he was in all that jazz.
Yep.
And also just anything he's ever done. So you saw the choreography, especially the first number that you see Catherine Zeta-Jones and the way she's moving. We're going to get to a couple of the musical numbers. I'm assuming Cell Block Tango is one you want to talk about.
That's my favorite.
Yep, mine too. And so I love that they kept that, but they modernized everything. They made it bigger, they made it brighter, they made it better, but they kept those very meticulous moments in it. So definitely a lot of Fosse.
One of the things that I think it was obviously a conscious choice of what they did, is to take the musical numbers, and I've never seen the musical on Broadway, so I don't know if this is how much of a direct adaptation, but the film, when you have your straightforward dialogue that's happening and you have your scenes of people interacting, then it will cut to a musical number, which is an interpretation of what you're seeing.
Yep.
And I like how that does, because the interpretation obviously is just way over the top, completely fitting to what you just witnessed, and does help advance the plot a little bit, but they are just so big and so over the top that it fits with the subject matter.
Yes. So I've seen it on Broadway. I was lucky enough to see it last year, and it is the musical numbers.
Okay.
There's very little going back and forth, back and forth. They do some of it. But also, it is a complete minimalistic set. It is
That makes
a
sense.
black set with, a couple of risers so that you're seeing things in different levels, so that you can see like the women in the cell block and things like that. And it's got the ladders for like when the woman is executed. They do that pretty much the way they do it.
Okay.
But it does not have that clever back and forth. It's just a straight up musical.
So
musical
this-
numbers.
Okay, so in the musical, it's the musical numbers that carry the thing
Yes.
forward. In this, it's the musical numbers that highlight and elevate the film.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
Yes.
kind of cool then.
Yeah.
That's a good interpretation. I like that.
Well, and that's why I think the film deserves so many props, because it is so different than the play while taking the best parts of it.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about, there are two of the numbers that are my favorites. Cell Block Tango I want to talk about, and the other one was They Both Reach for the Gun with the
the
ventriloquist.
puppeteer,
Yeah.
The cell block one, it's the rhythm of it that really works for me, and everybody having their own individual part. And I like the fact that there's a Russian included. I'm assuming she's Russian.
Hungarian? I
Hungarian,
think?
okay.
Yeah.
Someone of
Eastern
Slavic-
Bloc.
Yeah. And you have no idea what she's saying, but you absolutely know what she's saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
And hers is a much more subtle, more I would say classical, almost ballerina-esque kind of dance,
Yeah.
which is fitting for what they were portraying. But it's the beats of that just keep going all the way through that make that just such a banger of a song.
Yep, I completely agree, and I love the threads that they pull, the scarves that they pull. Like when she pulls the white scarf, showing she's innocent, or when Velma killed both of them, she pulls out two red scarves. Like I just love the symbolism there.
Yep.
It's such a small thing, but it's so clever.
And again, because it's those are very high quality dances. Catherine
Mhm.
Zeta did, I think, an above average job.
Absolutely.
I don't think she was phenomenal, but in that scene, because you have very high quality dancers, their movements, when they have to snap and hold a position, they are spot on
Oh,
in that position.
Absolutely.
And that is hard to do, I mean, just in normal whatever, but
Mhm.
they nail every single motion. And there are so many of those in this number where you have to just nail a spot and hold and then move on to something else. And every time it's like an exclamation point.
Yep.
It's like, bang!
It's so I juxtaposed it a little bit with Moulin Rouge so you've got two actors who aren't great at singing, but they don't have to be because
Right.
they're supposed to be two normal people in love. I feel like the folks here needed to be great singers, needed to be great dancers, and I feel like kind of on the singing point, most of them nail it. Richard Gere was not a good singer.
No,
Unfortunately.
he's not bad.
He's not
just
bad, but he's not to the level of everybody else in there. But he is a great dancer, and a great dancer, like just so loose and so
Yep.
into it, and really giving it all his all. So he did a really good job, I thought, with the dancing. And I thought of all of them, Catherine Zeta-Jones was the best, nailed both the singing and the dancing. Renee Zellweger didn't have to dance that much.
No.
Did a great job, I thought, with her performance. Love Queen Latifah. I mean,
God, yeah.
she was
Mama.
amazing. Yeah.
I've never been a Renee Zellweger fan,
Mhm.
and I think that probably started when she was in the Tom Cruise horrible movie.
We hate Jerry Maguire.
Yes.
See prior episodes. Yeah.
And I don't think I was ever able to recover, and then she just went off and did a bunch
Yeah.
of rom-coms for a long period of time. But I will say, she far exceeds my expectations of her in this film. She
Yes.
was great.
She was.
Again, not stupendous, not the most amazing thing, but she rose to the occasion, did a better than I think anybody expected her to do,
Mhm.
and she fully inhabited the roles, both in just the speaking, but also when she was required to do a musical dance number. She absolutely went for it. She didn't hit it all the time, but she went for it. She did
Yeah.
not play subdued, she did not downplay anything, she absolutely went for it, and for the most part, absolutely succeeded, so kudos to her.
And she was also playing on two different levels most
Yeah.
of the time. She was playing, oh, this is what the audience, meaning, the people of Chicago want to see, but this is who I really am that I'm showing the audience at home as
Yes.
they're watching the movie. So, she's just a nasty little piece of work, and she's gonna frame her husband, she's gonna do all these things, she's gonna sleep around, but she's also not gonna show that to anybody.
Yeah.
And so I just love that you could see both parts of her. And I thought all of it, there was some good humor in there, very
Yeah.
funny, it was very sexy,
It was. It's
yeah.
far sexier. I mean, Fosse's always been relatively
Yeah.
sexy,
Mhm.
but this is far sexier than anything I remember Fosse doing.
I don't know some other things that he's done that wouldn't be sexy. I gotta think about that.
I guess for all the things that we've seen thus
Yeah,
far,
yeah.
this one is by far the sexier.
I'm thinking more theater driven. Yes, you're absolutely right for movies. I'm thinking some of his more theater stuff. Because he was pretty sexy, I think, or into demonstrating, kind of like in an erotic way.
The only other thing that I really have for this is there anything sadder in film history than Mr. Cellophane?
Oh no, I know, poor guy. Yeah, he really had a rough time altogether. John C. Reilly had a tough time with these movies. Because he was in the Hours too.
Yes, he was.
So yeah.
And this is.
And he does a beautiful job at it.
Yeah, and we've seen him in other films before, and all of his roles are dramatic roles.
Yeah.
And then he hooks up and then is known as comedy guy in like 4 or 5 years from now,
Yeah.
which is sad because he shows that he
He's got range.
He does have a very big range. And I think probably part of what hurt him is his looks. Hollywood
Yeah.
being what Hollywood is,
Yeah.
I think not having the leading man look did hurt him a little bit, and
Yeah.
he was able to find his comfort in the other. But he's awesome.
Yeah, well, but the other thing too is like, yes, it's super sad, but also Amos is such a schmuck that you really don't mind that he can't do math, he can count to 9, so that's kind of a problem.
He's also in Gangs of New York. He's in 3 of the
Oh,
nominated
I forgot
films.
about Gangs of New York.
Yep.
Absolutely right. Okay. Wow.
That
He didn't look out at all in any of these movies. He had a rough go.
It's just Mr. Cellophane, and he nails it. Like
Yes.
it's not a song that requires you to be spot on singing. It's a song that requires like you go for the emotion. Yeah.
You need to emote.
And he absolutely nailed that performance, I thought. And
Yeah.
there's nothing sadder. There's just nothing.
Out of all the main characters, Richard Gere was the only one not nominated for an acting award. I remember that at the time.
That does not surprise me.
It doesn't, but it's too bad because again, I think he did well, and this was a role that they really wanted John Travolta in, and I think that Richard Gere did a better job than I think John Travolta would have hammed it up a little bit too much.
Yeah,
He doesn't have the I don't know, suave nature that Richard Gere does.
I think you're right. Like there's an inherent like gentleman quality, but he's up like also at the same time he might be talking you out of your clothes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's a sleaziness there,
Yeah.
and he nailed it. But he also has the charm,
Yeah.
and John Travolta has the sleaze factor. I think he has outgrown the charm.
Yeah, and well, I mean, he's proven he can dance, but I don't know if like the required dancing for this, if he could have nailed it. Like I can't see him doing the ventriloquist puppeteer pieces.
No.
I just can't.
Well, and that's the part I want to talk about is him with Renee Zellweger. Her movements were just boneless.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
So I was really impressed by that whole, I mean, like, it's just super clever the way they pull it off. But then when the handle or whatever he has in her back, it really looks like he's controlling her.
I don't know this, maybe you do. Do you know anything about how the set was? Like, did they get along? The reason I ask is because this kind of film, and particularly a number
Yeah.
like that, you have to be very trusting
Yes.
and coordinating with the person you're in the scene with. Think about when we went back to the Glenn Close movie.
Oh, with Michael Douglas.
Yeah,
yes.
and how much trust they had to have
Yeah.
for that particular scene. This is similar, not as intense, but very similar. That if you're resisting or pulling away in any way, shape, or form, that's going to come through.
No.
And they seemed like they were one.
I didn't hear anything negative from the set, so
Okay,
I think
good.
you would have heard if there was. And in my research, I didn't hear of anything.
Okay, good.
So no. I do know that on Oscar night, Renee Zellweger was supposed to sing a song. They had a couple of nominated songs, and she didn't because she was too nervous because she didn't want to do it at that stage. And Catherine Zeta-Jones was like 8.5 months pregnant. She's like, "I'll do it," and she did a gorgeous job of singing whatever song it was that she sang.
Renee just did someone else very famous on the stage, like
Judy Garland.
There we go. That was
Mhm.
it. Thank you. And I saw that. I thought she did a really good job in that as well.
I agree. I think it was a flawed movie, but I think her
Yeah.
performance was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see her in Cold Mountain?
Yes.
She won a Best Supporting for that.
And I've completely forgotten everything about that movie except for my impression of I like it, but it's super dreary.
That's it. Yes. That you never have to see it again. That is all you need to know.
All right. So yeah, I love this. I really do.
Okay.
Shall we move on to Gangs of New York?
Gangs of New York. All right.
Gangs of New York. Directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Jay Cox, Stephen Zalian, and Kenneth Lonergan. Based on Herbert Ashbery's 1928 book, The Gangs of New York. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, Cameron Diaz, along with Jim Broadbent, John C. Reilly, Henry Thomas, Steve Graham, Eddie Marsan, Brendan Gleeson, and Liam Neeson. Nominated for a ton: Best Picture, Director, Actor, Screenplay, Production Design, Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing, Original Song, and Sound. Did not win a thing.
All right. So the IMDb logline: in 1862, Amsterdam Valen returns to the Five Points area of New York City, seeking revenge against Bill the Butcher, his father's killer.
Fair,
Sure.
but
There's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But sure. So fun facts. I'm just going to give one overview fun fact and tell people to do a deep dive.
Okay.
This was a crazy production. So, I mean, just in general, starting with Scorsese tried to take the book that this was based on 30 years ago. Like, he wanted to make this film 30 years ago.
Okay.
And then he finally, like, over years and years of talking to this script person and then getting the rights and then losing the rights, it's just absolutely insane. Finally gets it. Miramax is the producer. He and Harvey Weinstein had a lot of clashes. Scorsese was looking for something artistic. Weinstein was looking for something more commercial. Bill the Butcher at times was actually played by Robert De Niro and Willem Dafoe, but because of all of the delays in things that were going, they were not able to continue.
wow.
And so Daniel Day-Lewis came in and finished it out. The $30 million budget went to $100 million at the end of it, and at the end of the day, it was supposed to be released in the fall of 2001. But because of that last shot that shows the skyline of New York, including the World Trade Center, they decided to bump it a year. That's the official line, but Scorsese has later said that they were still filming pickups into 2002. So
Nobody's present.
exactly. So it's just insane, and I suggest that people go and read about it.
I have heard over the years from different sources, it's one of those you kind of read between the lines. Some people come out and stated it, but a lot of it is just, actors and producers kind of talking about things without talking
We
about
have
things.
creative differences.
Yes.
Yes.
That Scorsese has very much been I am Martin Scorsese, I am an auteur, you have to
Yes.
trust in my judgment. And, he has a point. He's made some pretty damn good films,
I love many of them.
but I can imagine that would be a difficult thing to deal with at times.
Yeah. And I think when you look at the power and the ego that Harvey Weinstein had at the time,
Yes.
asterisks next to all things Weinstein, that had to have clashed.
All right, so I'm gonna just dive in.
All right.
Speaking of Scorsese, at this point he is an absolute master of his craft. It's whether you like the story he's telling or not. I do think, however, this is his fully embracing, I'm going to tell my story 100% of the way with every little detail.
Yeah.
I think this film could benefit from about half an hour of editing.
Fair.
I don't think a lot of the scenes were absolutely necessary. They didn't necessarily enhance things. They didn't give you things. Like, there's a lot of walking and talking in the caves.
Yep.
Didn't need it.
I think there's a few characters we don't need.
Yes.
Like, I think there are people that could have been lopped off entirely. Brendan Gleeson, love him, but I didn't think that entire storyline was necessary.
I don't think the
What was his
storyline was
point?
necessary, but I think the point was it was to have him murdered in public to show Bill's power at the time.
Yes.
So you needed someone to stand up that people could rally behind, and then Bill just comes in public and kills him and is like, you people are nothing.
Right, but it could have been that Johnny character.
Yeah,
it could have been
a
what
lot of
betrayed Leo.
different people.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I liked him, but that whole storyline, good 20 minutes cut.
There is some interesting directorial choices. His choice of the different color palettes. Outside, very bright, sunny.
Mhm.
In the caves, it has a very sepia tone kind of feel with a lot of like the flame lighting.
Yep.
Like he definitely made conscious choices in how to light and present things.
And the past scenes as well.
Yeah.
All the scenes in the past were very differently lit.
He's also very, very good at what they call that mid shot. So you have like two characters almost full body or full body interacting with each
Mhm.
other as opposed to a close up or a wide pan to the back. He's very good at giving you information by having two people in full interact in
Yep.
scenes. Most of this movie is that. There are not a lot of close-ups, there are not a lot of big pans, they're only there when they're supposed to be there.
Yep.
So most of this is in that mid kind of range, and he's really good at setting up that scene so you get all of the information that you're supposed to. I just think it's too much at times. I
Yeah.
really do.
I'm with you. So I struggled with this movie a little bit in a couple of different ways. The first way is I liked Daniel Day-Lewis. I liked what he was doing with Bill the Butcher. I thought it was really interesting, but it was also very cartoonish and a little over the top when compared with Leonardo DiCaprio, who looked like he was in a different movie.
Yeah.
He was like Mr. Serious, Mr. Dour, Mr. This, and then you've got like a cartoony kind of guy coming at each other. And I understand that's okay to have that, that dynamic a little bit, but it looked like they were in different movies.
I agree that they look like they were in different movies. I particularly this time, because this is, Leonardo is now a star.
Yep.
But I would not say at this point he is a great actor. He's a star.
Fair.
And I think he's developing his acting. I think he's a great actor now. I
Mhm.
think he really has come into his own. But I don't think at this time he's really that great of an actor. He knows what he's supposed to do. He can give the right emotions. He can deliver the lines. But there's just not a lot behind it. And so for me, he's the second weakest person in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time he's saying things, it's like, oh, what a pretty boy, go, go, go. And I know that's kind of wrong. But he was not up to the same caliber as I think everybody else was. Even John C. Reilly or Jim Broadbent, like they...
Oh yeah, they were able to go toe to toe with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just don't think at this point Leonardo could, so that kind of takes me out of the film. Overall, I do enjoy this film. I really
Mhm.
do. I cannot see it again for 10 years and I'll be totally fine.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
But I just don't think that Leonardo was in the same caliber as the other people, so I agree, but I don't necessarily agree that Bill's is kind of cartoonish necessarily. I think it is,
It's so over the top, though.
It is
Yeah.
over the top, and I think that's obviously by design and intent, because we know him well enough to know, like, he fully inhabits whatever character he's doing.
Exactly, and I'm gonna get back to, because I think you kind of did a precursor to who was the weakest link, and I definitely want to get there. I know where you're headed, but going back to Daniel Day-Lewis and this kind of not cartoonish, but over the top. There was a cartoonish quality to some of the fight scenes, especially at the beginning. There was and Scorsese knows how to film a fight scene, so I know
Yep.
that this was done purposely. There was scenes where they are showing people not connecting, like their fist is going towards their stomach and like lifting them up in the air, and they're not connecting, and then blood rushes out of their mouth. Like, it is definitely a biff, pow, boom, quality,
like
totally
60s
Batman.
yeah.
And then you've got like the rivers of blood that are going through, and he loves a violent shot. I love Goodfellas, I'm not gonna say that's a problem, but the way it's being done, it's just, they're not even connecting, and I thought that was just so weird.
Yeah, I think overall the film kind of does suffer from the tone and that it wants to set for you. You're right, there are times, the fight scenes, even some of the arguments, or even like the more intimate scenes, they all seem like they're different styles of movies.
Yes, yeah, that's a great way to say it.
So yeah, I think the film does suffer from having like kind of, okay, this is the theme, this is the tone that I want to set all the way throughout. The fight scenes, I do agree they're well choreographed and things, but they do kind of take you out, because they're like, you'll have the fight scenes, but they're not the same tone as the two scenes before, when you had the people arguing or coming to terms for the upcoming fight. They're just not the same.
Yeah, and I think even the final fight scene, it was a bit mishmashy for me of, okay, so which one of them, what is the draft fight? Who is on what side of that? Who is on the, like, there's so many different factions and so many people fighting, and they're just showing the close-ups of this person's beating the crap out of that person. Like, okay, well that's one of the draft riot people, and this is, it was too much. I didn't care for that at the end.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a really dumb question, which is going to seem like I'm insulting you, and I don't mean that at all.
Are you going to mansplain?
No. But did you miss the part where one side was dressed with blue and the other side was dressed with red?
No, I definitely got that
Okay.
piece. Yeah, so I mean, like, I technically kind of saw who was who, but then, once you got the draft riot folks in there, so yes, I knew the gangs that were going up against each other. I don't know, it just seemed too mishmashy. That wasn't a dumb question.
Okay.
Yeah.
The end fight in particular, when basically I guess it's the Union folks come in, like the military come in, it seemed to come out of the blue.
Yes,
It
maybe
seemed
that's
like it was interfering and taking away from the story that this film was building towards.
Right.
You wanted this confrontation between the two sides. You saw at the beginning, you knew the entire time that it was going to be building towards an end fight and who was actually going to win.
Yeah.
And that took me out of it by having this third party introduced. And fine, they both die, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that third party introduction took away from the impact of that ending that I want.
Amsterdam didn't die.
Oh, no, you're right. He didn't.
But yes, that's exactly, I think, what I was trying to get to, and I couldn't explain well, is that I want to see this fight, and then all of a sudden this other fight is coming in the middle of it, and it's bugging me.
Yep.
So basically, it's just bugging me. So talk to me about what you think the weakest link is.
Oh, it's Cameron, for sure.
She did not do a good job.
No, I don't think she did a bad job.
That's the thing, is like, everybody talks about this movie and they talk about her like she's Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3.
No.
And she's not. So she is not terrible, but she is the weaker link in this movie.
Yeah, her acting chops at this point, and I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't mean any offense, but I don't think she's ever been a great actress.
Oh, great.
And if you're going to be in a film like this, I'm sure it was a coup for her agent to get her into this film.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you're going to be in a film with the quality of actors around you, then you need to be at the same level. Or minimize the hell out of your part so that you are just, if that's what's necessary, just play the shiny happy girlfriend or whatever. The nuances and things that were required of her role, her acting chops were just not up to.
I agree, and I think there's a piece that Scorsese owns in that, and I think there's a piece she owns in that, because Scorsese does not write for women.
No, he doesn't.
He just doesn't. So going in, you have to know this is not going to be a strong part for you.
Yep.
You're going to have to bring to it. You look at and again, Raging Bull is not my favorite movie, but look at Sally Kirkland in that movie and how she stepped that up with her skills.
Right.
And the same thing with Ray Liotta's wife, who I adore, and I forgot her name, in Goodfellas. I mean, like, that could have been a very small bit part, and she acted the hell out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that Scorsese doesn't write for women, and so you've got to have a strong female actor in there.
Yep.
And she just wasn't. But she wasn't terrible.
No, she wasn't.
She gets a bad rap for being terrible.
She's just in the wrong. It was just miscasting. She's not
Yeah.
the actor, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
for this film. She just wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's nobody's fault except for, well, the people you mentioned.
The casting.
Yes.
I think the casting fact. But one thing I did love is the transition shot at the end. I thought that was really interesting, just to kind of show how life goes on and the city grows, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he has a tendency to do that, to tack on some sort of meaning in the last 45 seconds of
Yes.
films. I think it's a little over the top, and I could do without it. Like, I get it, you were telling a singular story of how New York today came to be New York today.
Yeah.
I get it, it's just a little too much for me.
I like the too much, so
That's
I
fine.
get that. I will say though, if this were not a Scorsese film, and if this did not have the Miramax backing, this would not have been, in my opinion, I don't know that it would have been up for Best Picture. I think it would have been a Liam Neeson Taken kind of thing. Like, it's a revenge over my father's death story.
Yeah, with a very big budgeted cast.
Exactly. Yeah, it had the gravitas to get there.
And considering some of the other films that were released in that
Yes.
particular year, I do question why some of these were nominated, but that's
Yeah.
fine, we're not on the committee to actually select them, so.
But soon. This is our plan.
I think there are certain aspects that I like the explorations of. To me, I just giggle because it's just white racism, like one white group hating another white group.
Yeah.
That was a very actual thing.
Oh, God, yeah.
People hated the Irish when they first came over. It always is in waves. The people that come over and get established then hate the next that comes after them. It's just unfortunately the way it's worked.
They were also super racist against African Americans, just to keep everything,
they were all
realistic
super
and grounded,
racist
exactly,
all the way
as
through.
to the way life was. And also, the thing I found really odd, super racist towards Chinese Americans, or Chinese, maybe they weren't even Chinese Americans. There was no population of Chinese in New York at that time. They were all on the West Coast.
Building the railroads?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they didn't get here until the railroads came, because they all came from Asia and other countries and China on the West Coast.
Huh, okay.
So they weren't even in New York. So
Interesting. Little historical inaccuracy there,
little
Mr. Scorsese.
historical inaccuracy just for the sake of racism.
It was interesting to me. I don't know whether I enjoyed the handling it of or not, and it could have been excluded and I would have been fine with it. But it was interesting that everybody in this film is super religious. They're all believing that they are, chosen by God, they all, right before the battle, there's 10 shots of people sitting down praying like, God, I am your instrument. They're all believing in God. It's just, different interpretations.
Absolutely. It's very similar to Elizabeth, with you got the Catholics and you got the Protestants.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what the fight is over.
Um,
Which God do they want to win?
I did like also the presentation of the elections at that time were hugely corrupt.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean you've only voted 4 times? You're not doing your
Exactly.
civic duty.
Come on, Darryl, shave that beard, go in and vote again. Yeah.
So those are things that I more giggled at than
I
anything
find that
else.
amusing, yeah. Yeah. And that actually happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Town
Poe,
hall, yeah.
Poe, notoriously, because he was a massive drunk and drug addict, would go multiple times to score money because they would pay
Yeah.
people.
Very
Anyway.
funny.
Overall, I think it was a very ambitious film for him to do. I think he told the tale that he wanted to tell. I just think there were some big glaring issues with this overall.
Agree. Yep, completely agree.
All right, let's move on to a much smaller film,
Alrighty.
The Hours. The Hours, directed by Stephen Daldry from a screenplay by David Hare, based on the 1998 novel by Michael Cunningham. Stars Nicole Kidman, Julianne Moore, Meryl Streep, and supporting roles by Ed Harris, John C. Reilly again, Stephen Dillane, Jeff Daniels, Miranda Richardson, Allison Janney, Toni Collette, Claire Danes, and Eileen Atkins. Nominated for Picture, Director, Actress, Supporting Actor for Ed, Actress for Nicole, supporting for Julianne, Adapted Screenplay, Costume Design, Film Editing, and Score. and Nicole did win for Best Actress.
All right, so I'm going to start with fun facts because you just mentioned Eileen Atkins, who played the flower shop owner
Yep.
in the Meryl Streep timeline, who was also the cook in Gosford Park last time we were talking.
Okay.
She is also a screenwriter who wrote the script for the film that she starred in, Mrs. Dalloway. So based on the Virginia Woolf book.
Yep.
A couple of other fun facts is that Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep never met during the filming. They only met on the press tour because
That
they were
makes
never
sense.
in scenes together.
Yep.
And in the scene where John C. Reilly is telling the little boy about how he and the mother met, he is actually telling the boy actor the story of Jack and the Beanstalk because the little boy looked so bored and would not pay attention to him. So he had to tell him a nursery rhyme, and they had to go and film from the back and fill it all in later of him telling that story.
Children and animals.
Children, exactly. The logline, though, is the story of how the novel Mrs. Dalloway affects 3 generations of women, all of whom, in one way or another, have had to deal with suicide in their lives.
That's accurate.
I think that's accurate. I'm going to just jump in with one thing, which we talked about with one of your favorite movies, which is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Okay.
You cannot enjoy that movie to the degree you should unless you are very familiar with the play Hamlet.
Okay.
I would say that this movie would benefit from people who have read Mrs. Dalloway. Like, I think they would pick up so much more, and it's probably hard to enjoy it to the degree it should be enjoyed without having read that book.
Are there like little homages or things?
I have never read that book.
Okay.
So I don't know, but yes, there are, because as I was doing some of my research for the fun facts, there definitely are. So, for instance, have you read the book?
No.
So the book is about Mrs. Dalloway, who is planning a party for her husband, and her name is Meryl Streep's first name, Clarice or something like that, I forget what it is. And her husband is Richard. Richard is the Ed Harris, character. And it talks about how she goes through and she gets flowers for the day and all of these things that are happening during her day. So that is really the story of Mrs. Dalloway, is her planning the party, and she learns that someone at the party where this woman, Sally, who she has loved from afar, but she basically couldn't love because, she couldn't be a lesbian back then. So, and in this storyline, obviously, Meryl Streep and Allison Janney are girlfriends. So it's basically, I think that there's a lot more happening that we would really understand better.
And that makes sense because watching this, I knew I'd seen it before. I remembered it's going to be different generations, and it's all, the tie-in is going to be this book. I'd forgotten that the first one was actually Virginia Woolf in the process of writing the book.
Right.
You get that pretty quickly, so it's not a big deal. But that premise is so loose throughout that I think you're right. If I knew more about the book, then I could pick up on the homages that they were paying.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that premise is just such a loose one, and then there's the big reveal at the end to tie things together. Which that was fine. I bought it. I went along with it. But the premise of this throughout is a little difficult to kind of go along with, because you're not given a lot of things and you're expecting connections where there really don't seem to be any.
I think they expect the audience to have read the book and understand it. And it's one of the top, it's been listed as one of the top 100 books, in literature, so.
Good.
I am the worst for it for never having read it,
Sure.
so I probably should. I wish there had been more of a crossing between Virginia Woolf's time frame and the other two. Obviously, Meryl Streep and Juliana Moore's are very tied together. The only other connection is obviously Juliana Moore is reading the book that Virginia Woolf wrote. But other than that, I would have loved a little bit more of a sprinkle of a crossover.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying.
More of a
Is
tie-in.
if this is going to be the tie-in across these 3 generations, then you need to give me some additional anchors for that.
Yes.
And I didn't have enough anchors, not having read the book. I didn't have enough anchors for me to buy this all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just didn't seem as cohesive a story as it could have been, I guess.
I do agree with that. And I think it also tried to do too much. There's a lot in it, themes of depression and suicide, unhappiness with your, women with their unfulfilled lives, and same-sex attraction, and I'm going to say it, Nicole Kidman's nose was very distracting.
It does kind of take you out.
It does.
It's about 20-25, I remember that from the first time too, about 20-25 minutes in, I just let it go.
Yes.
But it takes a while to get there.
It does.
And it's not that the makeup
unnecessary.
is bad, it's just, I question it as a choice
Right.
because it is so glaringly obvious that
Yep.
there's a difference to her.
Right.
So, I don't know, I question it as a choice.
Well, and also, how many people actually know what Virginia Woolf looked like?
Correct.
Do we need that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that a necessity if it's going to take you out of it? And I
Yeah.
get like they probably did a testing and people were like the nose and they're like we can't reshoot.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein, because again, all things Miramax this year, hated it. And I hate to agree with him because he's vile, but he's not wrong.
I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. This seems to be kind of a unifying theme is it is an exploration of women's unhappiness in their
Yep.
situations, and it's presented in different fashions and there's different reasons for it.
Yep.
But there are a lot of similarities in
Yeah.
their unhappiness. And I like how it was an exploration and there was no hand fisting, it was not telling you.
No.
It was just like, make of this what you will.
Yeah, and it is interesting. The one thing I did find really interesting from one to the other is how each woman dealt with those fairly similar
Yep.
situations. Is, you know, you've got Meryl Streep, who's clearly in love with a man who is no longer in love with her,
Yep.
although they share a past. And she's built a life. She wanted a child, so she got a child, or rather had a child. She
Got
has
himself, picked him up at the market.
Well, exactly. Well, picked up something at the market, and so she has a girlfriend, she has a life, she's created this life, but she's still very sad. And then you've got, again, Julianne Moore, who she thinks about committing suicide, she's ready to, she's about to, and then she realizes that she's gonna go in another path that is, kind of pretty destructive for others in her life, if
Yep.
not for her. And then obviously you got Virginia Woolf, who killed herself.
Yep.
So it's pretty dark and pretty sad, and none of them are happy.
No.
That's the other sad part is all of them choose different paths. None of them bring them the fulfillment that I think they're looking for.
There's a couple things that I question in this, just like as choices in the writing and the direction.
Mhm.
So there's some things that are like given to you without really any explanation unless I missed something. The first one, when in the, oh my god, blanking, the 2001 timeline.
Okay. Yeah.
When Allison Janney like creeps in the
Yeah.
morning and goes and lies down and Meryl Streep is obviously awake, but they pretend like that never happened.
Yeah.
What was the point? What did I miss that was important?
The only thing that I can think of, so I thought she was creeping him because she works nights, and so my understanding she was just coming back from work, so it wasn't anything like clandestine.
Okay.
And she was just trying not to wake her, and it just showed that Meryl Streep was already awake and already kind of anxious for the day and freaked
I
out a
totally
bit.
missed that part of it. Because it had a like, I've been sneaking around on you vibe.
Quality too.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was one, but I may have missed it entirely.
I don't know. So there's that. Also, the initial presentation of Julianne Moore,
Mhm.
she is presented as completely incompetent in
Yes.
a lot of things.
Yes.
And I question why. Like,
Mhm.
the ability to bake a cake seems like it's overwhelming to her and she can't wrap her mind around it and she's just going to be bad at it. Like, why did we need to know that she is so incompetent at life? Is that part of her unhappiness? I don't.
That was my guess, is that, because again, her child is showing her how to read a recipe and do a cake. I think it is just because she just can't do anything, because she's just beside herself. She has no confidence, and people who don't have any confidence can't do anything right. So
Okay.
I think there are a lot of people who have just lost themselves, and that's the way I looked at her, as just completely lost soul.
And I did as
and
well.
the incompetence being a part of that.
But then, if that's the case, why the kiss? Like, is that her just finally trying to reach out for something that she wants in life? It just seemed that this timid, incompetent person
Mhm.
would never do that. She would suffer that instead.
Oh, see, I thought all three of the women were attracted to members of their own sex and couldn't express it. And so I thought that was just her, this person that she was attracted to was going to the hospital and she may never have a chance to
Okay.
express it. So, I don't know.
I got that, but the two just seemed at odds, with her being so lost and so unable to do and take control of anything in her life, even the smallest things. It just seemed out of character then for her to take this moment, because there's no real other times that she does. I mean, she does go attempt to commit suicide and changes her mind. I don't know. It just seemed at odds with the presentation of her.
I just took it as a letting go last moment, because I am going to kill myself, and by the way, you're not doing so great. So I took it as a just last grasp goodbye. I was more weirded out by Nicole Kidman kissing her sister.
Yeah!
That was odd.
Like when they first meet,
I'm your sister. We don't do that.
The kiss was a little bit longer than normal, but I just kind of chalked that up as like, maybe that was how they did it at the time.
Yeah.
But then the second one, no,
that was intimate.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that.
Particularly how she's going off and had been railing against her sister, how much she doesn't like spending time with her sister.
Right, so it makes you wonder,
weird.
is there something behind that?
Yep.
And that's creepy.
Yep.
There was a lot that it tried to explore, and it did too much.
I agree. I think it did do too much, but I'm sure there have been tons of papers probably written about this movie, trying to dissect it and explain it. And if we wanted to, we could sit down and probably dissect it even further and come up with rationales for things. But I don't know if that's good for a movie that you're supposed to go and enjoy.
Yeah. And I will say, the things I loved, the performances were great.
They were.
Ed Harris is just the best part of every movie he's in. I thought his character was interesting, and you saw him, probably 10 minutes in the movie. So I really did love the performances. I liked each individual storyline. There was a lot there, but there was too much there.
Yeah.
And you're right, it gives you a lot to think about, which is interesting. But you didn't want the Martin Scorsese buttoned up at the end. This needed a little more buttoning up.
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting to me, and this is kind of a role reversal that we see a lot of times in movies, where the men are the central figures and the women are very supporting, or they're smaller roles and they either supporting or they're an impediment to whatever. It's entirely reversed. The men are impediments to the women in this, whether by intent or just accidentally, just by the nature of who they are. But the men do interfere with the women attempting to be happy, essentially.
I feel like after how many years of mostly male-centric movies that we've been doing for Best Picture, at least one, look at Elizabeth from last year, look at, The Hours Now. I feel like every year there's at least one or two that do have those really important female roles at the center.
I do, and I like that as a trend to showcase them if they're up to the caliber that they should be.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from this movie. I just think I think you've said it best. It tried to take on too much, and in doing so, didn't tell, I think, the story that it really wanted to tell. It was telling a story, but that story was muddled.
Yep, I completely agree with you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Let's move on to, very quickly, Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. I'm going to ask this, see if you're okay with this. Because of the deep dive that we did like 2 weeks ago, I've said everything that I need to say about Two Towers.
Alrighty.
If you have as well, then we'll just link down below and say, go watch the Two Towers deep dive, because it's like 20 minutes long, longer than we would normally spend on a film.
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
I'm totally good with that, yeah.
So the link will be in the description, as well as at the very, very end. You can click on to go to the Two Towers. We spent a long time on it. I think it was my number 7.
And I actually just listened to it for this podcast, because I didn't want to repeat myself too much. And I'm like, it's pretty good.
You did a good job.
Exactly.
So go listen or watch that one for the Two Towers breakdown.
Do you want to give just a summary of thumbs up? Obviously, it's not your number 7. So
it's a thumbs up for me for sure. I do feel that it did deserve to be nominated for what it took on. Your main issue is that it's a middle of a trilogy, and you don't like trilogies.
I do not like the middles, especially of trilogies, because I think that it doesn't have the framing of the beginning and it doesn't have the conclusion of the end. But I was impressed with the movie.
I'll just quickly go through. It was nominated for Best Picture, Art Direction, Film Editing, Sound Effects, and Visual Effects, and it won for Sound Editing and Visual Effects. That's usually just the Academy saying, here you go, you made us a bunch of money, here's a couple awards. for you."
Exactly. That's your fantasy and the sci-fi movies. Usually get those.
All right, so let's move on to the last then, The Pianist. The Pianist, produced and directed by Roman Polanski, all things aside, with a script by Ronald Harwood, stars Adrian Brody, Thomas Kretschmann, Frank Finley, Maureen Lipman, Amelia Fox, Ed Stoppard, Julie Rayner, and Jessica Kate Meyer, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Screenplay, Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing. It did win for Director. Adrian won his first Oscar, and won for Adapted Screenplay as well.
All right, and the logline is, during World War II, acclaimed Polish musician faces various struggles as he loses contact with his family. As the situation worsens, he hides in the ruins of Warsaw in order to survive. It's pretty shallow, but it's accurate.
Yeah, it's accurate, it just doesn't give away
Yeah.
a lot.
Exactly. So, a couple of fun facts specific to Adrian Brody. I think everybody that has seen this movie or knows this movie knows that he lost about 30 pounds. And he's a slight guy to start with.
Yeah,
So
he is.
he was about 160. He went down to about 130 pounds
Wow.
over the making of this movie. But what I didn't know was, in addition, he also sold his car, moved out of his apartment, and disconnected his phone, cutting himself off to everybody in his life during the filming because he really wanted to feel the loneliness and being cut off and understand the journey more.
Okay.
So he went full on method in that, which
And-
was interesting.
And I've heard about him that sometimes he goes method and
Yeah.
sometimes he doesn't. Like when he works with Wes Anderson, he
Oh
doesn't.
yeah, that's just a fun romp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in a lot of his more serious roles, he really does. I know he did.
The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but imagine just doing that during the course of filming. And then the other piece too, he was the youngest Best Actor winner at the time, and he is the first and only actor to date to win a Best Actor Oscar against 4 nominated winners. So he was nominated against Jack Nicholson, Michael Caine, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Nicolas Cage, all of whom had won acting Oscars at that point.
Wow.
And he won against them, and he was a novice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was Nicolas Cage up for that
I
year?
did not even look, so I don't know.
Okay, so Daniel Day obviously for Gangs of New York. And
He would have, was it not adaptation, what's the, John Mel?
being John Malkovich.
No, it wasn't that.
But he was up against Nicholson and About Schmidt.
Yes.
And I did not think that he deserved to win. I thought Jack should have won for that role.
Interesting, yep.
Jack's
Daniel
best
Day-Lewis,
role ever.
obviously. I don't know what Michael Caine was in, so that would be interesting to find out too.
Wasn't Side House Rules, that was a couple years before.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that was supporting. Okay.
Anyway, we'll
All right.
get off that tangent. I honestly don't have a lot to say about this movie, and there's a couple reasons why I don't. It is easy stuff out of the way. It's beautifully shot. The performances by everybody, even the family members, I thought were spot on.
Yep.
Everybody was at the same or equal caliber throughout. My problem with this movie is it is, unlike Schindler's List, which is very difficult to get through, but worth the journey,
Yeah,
this one is just very difficult to get through.
yeah.
And at the end of it, I question why I had to go on this journey. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from what happened.
Yeah, oh, of course not.
But-
Of course not.
So a quick contrast. Schindler's List is about a group of people with Schindler who are going through horrific things. This is a singular point of view of one person going through horrible, horrible things. I've never been a big fan of movies that do that,
Mhm.
where you focus on just one person having a horrible time over and over and over again. Those movies I don't enjoy. They can be well crafted or whatever, but I just don't enjoy them. And this is one of them, which is why I don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I just don't like this style of movie.
Nope, that's totally fair. I agree with you that this is a beautiful movie in the way that it was shot, in the set design and all of those things. It is hard to watch. The thing I think it does that you don't see in a lot of other movies of its style is this man's not a hero.
Mm.
He is a
That is true.
survivor.
Yes.
You know, and so I feel like in a lot of the movies where we do watch one person's journey, and everyone who survived the Holocaust is a hero. I don't mean to say it in that way, but it is more that this is not Life is Beautiful. Like
Yes.
he wasn't the hero for his child.
Correct.
And, you know, he didn't sacrifice himself for anybody else. He he survived, and that's heroic in and of itself. But I thought that was interesting, that it was a little bit of good luck, a little bit of good fortune, knowing some people here, being treated halfway decently there, and then he had some terrible bad luck along the way, but through good and bad luck and choices that he made, he survived. So I just thought that was a take we haven't seen before.
I agree.
As somebody who's
Yeah.
not really an agent of their destiny, he's not fighting, he didn't stay and fight in the Warsaw riots. He just had good luck and bad luck and got where he was.
Yeah, it's just a survivor's tale. And I don't mean to demean it by saying
Exactly.
just, but it is a survivor's tale. And you either, again, it doesn't matter how well crafted something is, it's rare that you can have something where I have a dislike for the form or the style of a movie. It has to be so incredibly well elevated above for me to then be like, this was amazing. When we've talked about movies, it's rare that movies do that. Like,
Yes.
the subject matter can be nothing, but take you and rise above. This one just didn't do that for me because it was just horror after horror after horror after horror. And at some point, I'm sorry, humans just get desensitized to the horror at a certain point. This is, 3 hours, 20 minutes long?
It was long, yeah.
There's only so much I can take before it's just glossed over.
Yeah, just everything just got incredibly and incrementally worse and worse. It was interesting to me too, just like the slow descent and then how rapidly it went.
Yep.
And you can kind of, again, just look at history, as we all should be doing. I will say the part where he played the piano when he wasn't playing the piano was beautiful. Like where we heard the music, where that he heard the music but he couldn't make noise. I think that he did a really good job there. I will tell you, I really struggled with literally the last 30 seconds of this movie. And it kind of sullied the movie for me a little bit.
Okay.
And that is where it had, here's what happened to him. Lived till, he was 90 or 80 in 2000. And here's what happened to the German soldier who helped him. I don't give a flying fig what happened to that man. He's a murderer, he's a killer, and he rotted in a Soviet jail. Fantastic, I'm thrilled. That makes me very happy. What happened to this man's family? There is no statement about his family. That's what I care about. I think it missed the heart of the movie at the end.
Yeah.
And even if it said he never found out what happened to his family, that's all I cared about. What happened to his parents and his siblings, and we never know. And even if it was just what happened to him, that would be okay. But to think I give a crap about a guy who threw him some bread in a coat at the end of his life, at the end of the war, who's probably feeling a little guilty, like, I don't care. Good. Rotten hell.
Yeah. No.
But the family, we never know what happened. And even just knowing, we never knew what happened to them.
Yep.
That would have been enough for me to show that they cared about his family.
I agree that the shift in focus at the end is a little odd.
Yeah.
Like, just because a Nazi gave you a certain amount of kindness at one point, a Nazi who was obviously in control of things.
Absolutely.
Not just a common soldier who
Yes.
may have been forced to do things, but someone in control of power. They didn't do a lot of good things. So why are you having us as an audience member start to care for this particular individual? We don't.
I don't, and I don't want to. Like, how many people did this man kill directly and indirectly? I don't want to know anything about him.
There are a couple things the movie did, I thought, that were very interesting, and they did very well. And they were directorial choices, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So many times throughout, because of where he's hiding in places, and he's pretty much in the same place for a big portion of this film.
Yes.
You get like his view of what he's seeing and how he's interacting and wherever he's hiding and the few people he's interacting with. But it even starts very early on in the film, is you have the people, his family, looking out into the street, and then you see a street view, and then they go back to doing their thing. And that continually happens throughout the movie, where you go from this scene on the inside to street view to see what's happening on the outside, and then back to inside. And that was handled very, very, very well.
Yes.
Because you see the same street over and over again in completely different circumstances.
Yes.
And I thought that was a strength of the film, is how they were able to give you that real good depth and feeling to the Warsaw Ghetto.
I agree. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting was at the end, when he is escaping the hospital, and he climbs over to the wall, suddenly the ghetto is the safe space for him.
Yeah.
And then you look at the changes that has happened to that space that at one point was a safe space, or safe-ish, and then you're just like, there is nowhere else to go. And you can see he is just out of options and out of luck entirely.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a painful movie to watch. This is one that I was not looking forward to seeing again.
Yeah.
And it felt painful.
I tried to get this one out of the way early.
Yep.
And I got about halfway through and just be like, okay, I can't anymore. I'm gonna have to stop and revisit this because it's just too much. And that's not commentary on art itself. That's not what I'm trying to say. That is a limitation of me when I watch particular things.
Yep.
I understand the importance. I understand what you're trying to say, and I get all of that. It doesn't mean that I have to enjoy this process at
Yeah.
all. And things that I don't enjoy do take me longer to get through.
Well, and that's why I'm a big believer in, I watch as many movies in the theater as I can,
Sure.
especially of this type. Like, I went to see Brutalist in the theater because I knew if I were here, you don't get the same experience because you are able to take a break and do those things, which sometimes you have to. But I know that's not the way the filmmaker wants them to be enjoyed.
Yeah, and I understand that.
But there was no enjoying this movie. Yeah, I still want to know what happened to his family.
And I agree. That should have been something put into the line at the end, or just don't mention the German and just focus on him. But you spend so much time with the family initially, seeing them get separated. You even see the there's the scene where his quote unquote friend drags him out of the line saying, I'm saving your life. So the implication is his family all went off and were killed.
Right.
But we don't know that for sure, but that's the implication.
It is.
And it would have been nice to know that at the end, unless Polanski was like, no, I've given you the information, that's what you need to know. But a little bit more.
And I'm fairly sure that that's probably the answer is he never found out what happened to his family.
Yeah.
But I would think he'd want to know. It was interesting too, the bookcasing between bookends between at the beginning he's playing the piano in the studio and at the end he's playing the piano in the studio. It's kind of like, look at what happened in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's an interesting way they chose to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to go back to his old life after all of the atrocities that ended up happening to him.
But
So
certainly not as the same person.
no. And I didn't catch this. Was he playing the same song?
I didn't catch that either. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone had pointed out that he's always playing Polish composers, and the Germans are always playing German composers.
Oh, so like when he was in the dance hall, was he playing German music then? Probably?
No, he was. I couldn't identify the pieces, so I do not know this, but that is what I read.
Okay,
is that
makes sense.
his pieces were always Polish pieces, and that when you heard Germans either playing or something, that it was always a German composer.
Yeah, nope, that totally makes sense. So tough watch.
Yeah. All right. I am going to take a guess, and I'm not 100% on this one.
Okay.
But I am going to guess that you agree with the Academy that Chicago should have won.
That is correct. I will say with a little bit of an asterisk of, I didn't really love any, I love Chicago as it's fun. As a best picture, I'm like, out of these 5, it's the best picture in my mind. So yes, you are correct, but out of the 5 of them, none of them are on the AFI list, and Chicago's good, super fun. I am going to say the same, that you agree with the Academy.
I do, but barely.
Exactly, yeah. Would you go Gangs of New York if not Chicago?
No, I would go Two Towers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that's not because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just what that movie takes on and it accomplishes is more, I think, than any of the other films.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just going literally check all the boxes, I think it checks more boxes. But I think Chicago is more effective at checking some of those boxes than Two Towers was. So yes, I do agree that Chicago should have won.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right, see ya.